Hey, my name is Nikki Holland, and I'm part of a five-piece indie folk rock band called Nikki Holland and the Dirty Elizabeths. I play outside of the Detroit, Michigan area, all around from Indiana on up into Windsor, Canada with my band. We're going to talk about some of the equipment we've purchased and then upgrades that we've made. We are not on an unlimited budget, so if you have recommendations, we may or may not be able to look into it. But still feel free to comment for other people to share. So what we look like structurally is me at the front. I have a kind of a quieter female voice. I'm not one of those powerhouses, which is why we run into some of our challenges in the mix. But I play acoustic guitar, sometimes an electric, and I play a ukulele, sometimes a mandolin. But mainly it's me as a rhythm string instrument. I have a lead guitar player who is a male. He does a lot of my male harmonies. And then I have a female keyboard player who does the female harmonies with the guitar player. My bass player is a male, also does some backing vocals, and my male drummer does backing vocals. So at some point, we have as many as 5 voices going through the PA. The PA is also pushing, assuming the amps are pushing the main instruments, the PA is still pushing keys. It's pushing electronic drums for effects like claps and snaps and sometimes like a timbale sound. And we pushed our bass through our sub now. But rewinding back, we didn't used to do that. So acoustic instruments would go through the PA and then vocals. So that's kind of what we looked at. Now in terms of a PA setup, what we started out with was two 15-inch Behringer Eurolive B115D, I think is what they're called. They worked pretty well. They're pretty light and portable, very, very affordable, like $2.99 a piece. And as long as you're not using a sub, they work out pretty well. We wound up running into a very difficult room though, and it's an old Elks Lodge in Ferndale, Michigan. It's a great place to play. We pack the house, but the sound is very challenging because the room is L-shaped, and I've not seen anybody really talk about an L-shaped configuration. But essentially we're tucked into a corner and we've got half the bar this way and half the bar that way, and the actual like sweet spot for the sound is right where they're pouring drinks, and it's a wall. So that has created a lot of our learning opportunities. So the Behringers are good speakers for an intro level. We didn't have any kind of sub that we needed because the bass was pushing its own and the kick drum itself was sufficient for most of the rooms. In our larger rooms and on festival stages, they have their own sound, so we didn't have to worry about providing anything bigger. So for front of house, the 15 inches are really good if you don't have a sub because they're able to bring in enough of that underbelly that you might need. And then we did have monitors. We have 3 Alto 10-inch monitors, and they are fantastic. I compared side by side different monitors, and I really like the Alto to be able to get those vocals and the higher strings to come back. I have an example of what we're working with. These are the Alto monitors, and I'll just zoom in on one of these. This is an Alto 10-inch. It isn't a wedge, and so when I tip it back, we got a good angle on the singer. So Alto monitors, I have 3 of them. One usually sits back by the drummer, and my drummer takes up a lot of space. You can see he's actually got some rolling heads back there for a hybrid on his kit. But overall, we're currently facing the drummer for a practice space, but if these mics were turned around, you can see the 3 of us are kind of taking up the front end, and then that back space in this back corner back here, that's where the keyboard player goes. In case you're wondering, I do play a Taylor acoustic guitar, so that has a very bright sound, and it is able to come back up from the monitors at us. Now, I do recommend if you need to isolate the sound for like a lead singer, when you have a lot of vocals going on, it is a good idea to look at getting an in-ear monitor. I have a Nady in-ear monitor, and I will show you that. It's actually this Nady in-ear monitor. The pack that goes with it, just attaches to the mixer, and then it is wireless. You plug in your headphones into this port, and I usually just keep one in one ear, and then I'm able to isolate only my vocals with a little bit of my guitar so that I can keep myself separated from the rest of the mix. And then the main monitors are spread out to the rest of the band so they can hear themselves harmonizing along with me. But this is a very helpful tool if you're a singer among other singers and you need to separate yourself from the rest of the mix. So overall, I just want to give you a quick look at what we look like. In terms of our stage layout, this bad drawing, I just want to be able to point out to you, we've got our drums set up, our guitar player, the lead, our bass, and then keys. Usually we've got a keyboard, amp, if they're not going through the if they're not going through the front of house speakers. And then the guitar player has his amp. He has a lot of space because he usually has pedal boards and all kinds of effects things going on, taking up a lot of real estate. Lead, I don't have any boards or anything, so I would be positioned here. And then my bass player here with his amp. So in this configuration, you can see it's pretty straightforward. This is like your small room, 50 to 100, maybe 150 people. You get to push it at that point. But what I want to demonstrate to you is your monitors need to still be, even though they're pointing back, the sound is coming back at you. You still want to have them behind your front of house speakers. These two speakers need to be in front of all of your microphones. So I've got microphones at each position here. These front of house speakers need to be in front of the microphones. If they're not in front of the microphones, you're going to get a sound field that'll come out here off this microphone, and it'll feed back into the front of house speakers, and then you're gonna have a feedback issue. So again, that's a very chintzy drawing, but gives you an idea of one way that you could lay out the band. And if you don't have keys, you would just subtract this piece from it. A good way to lay out your band. When putting together these videos, we're making a couple of assumptions. We're gonna assume that you really don't know a whole lot yet about setting up your own PA, how to lay things out. If you have access to a computer, which most people do, if you're watching this on YouTube, you want to go on to like Word or some kind of program, and you want to put up your own stage layout. When you start playing festivals, they're going to want your stage layout. Put little icons for your microphones, for your drummers, and so forth. That way they know what you're looking at. We're pretty heavy when it comes to what we need because we have several DIs. We have so many microphones involved. It's good to have your own stage layout. I have a couple configurations for mine, one in case I have the entire band plugged, and then also if we're going for a more acoustic sound. So good luck out there with getting your overall layout. One last thing, this may seem pretty minimal, but when you're buying your cords for your PA system, know that if you're using monitors that are wedges, that are going to lean back so that the sound will bounce back up at your singers, you want to probably invest in some that have this right angle on one end and that plug in on the other, because on the back of the monitor, they're usually the way they lay down, there's going to be a plug up and down, and when it lays back on that wedge, if it's plugged into this and it lays back, it's going to lay right on your cord and crimp it, which is why you're going to want a right angle cord. Okay, we're at the back of the monitor here just to show you. You've got this cable coming in from the daisy chain from the speaker over here, from the monitor over here. So it's coming in, plugging in here, and then it's coming back out to the next speaker here. And you can see it's already bent. When we lay this down, it's laying down right on this cable. And so if this cable had been a full straight one like this, kind of got a bad angle on it. If that cable had been a full straight one, I'd be laying right on the base of this. So that's something you want to avoid. Okay, so in my next video, I'm going to get a little bit more into the mix and how to bring the main vocals up and the things we've encountered, but I just want to keep it short. And thank you guys for checking everything out. You can find us at NikkiHollandMusic.com or theDirtyElizabeths.com, and check us out if you're in the Detroit area.